whole of Africa, South Africa is one of those countries that actually have influence in terms of a lot of things. I mean, we also fund a lot of the, AU, for example, African Union. It's actually funded by, we are the main funders, including the Pan African Parliament, So, and I believe that, if we were to be independent as South Africa, that this will help us a lot, and we have seen the America how bully they can be, with some of the policies, that they want to, because we want this or else we're not going to fund you. It's more like a bossy way of doing things, and I think, South Africa, you also have to then start to show the boldness, and start to be independent. We have seen, I mean, so many countries that were told that, for example, I'll just make an example about the countries such as, if you guys remember Museveni, in Nigeria. I mean, in Uganda, actually. So they said that he has to then accept, put that because I think they were signing the LGBTQ, something like that, and he said he's not gonna fund them if they when they sign certain bills in Uganda. One has to allow each and every country to be independent. I think even Kenya at some point there, during the time of Kenyatta, the former president, and so many other countries, Malawi, and unfortunately majority of these countries that happens not to have balls, they'll obviously surrender, in terms of not signing or sign things based on what America dictate them how to do it, and that alone, it actually makes those countries not to have independence and democracy, and also what about the people? What do the people like and dislike, and me myself, I'm saying this not as something that is against maybe LGBTQ, for example, I'm just making that reference so that people understand what we are talking about. I think during if you guys still remember in Qatar, where there was World Cup, the Qatar and the government and everything, the religion and the government and the culture and the way of doing things in Qatar, they don't allow the LGBTQI, you understand? And there was some sort of bullyingness, but at the end of the day, they could not do anything because Qatar is independent, and this, I'm just trying to highlight all these things so that you have to understand that, South Africa, as we know ourselves, as we are the rainbow nation, and as we know everything about us, the bills and everything that has to do with South Africa, no any other country come from, whether you come from Europe, you come from Asia, or you come from anywhere, you have got no rights and no any say, except South Africans themselves, So I agree with I think one of the speaker was saying that we also need to remember to reinforce the the military, where actually the young kids, before they go to varsity, if they can go through the military, I think that will be something that I will appreciate as well, and we need to make sure that we like, if you guys remember, even with the Ukraine, what you call Ukraine and Russia, their dispute when it started, Ukraine was sanctioned. I mean, Russia was sanctioned, but in Russia is independent, and it has made a strong reinforcement allies with the countries that are actually linked with Russia, now, because Russia is also having minerals and things such as oil, and majority of those European countries were actually somewhere somehow also depending on that. Now it has affected them because they now buy it at higher rates than if it was just directly taken from Russia through the pipes to Germany, countries like Germany. And again, I think people need to remind themselves that taken from. And I think people need to be aware that America is actually not bullying South Africa alone. It's bullying almost everyone, including Europe. Including it's so strange when I think I heard my boss was saying that on YouTube there are some people that actually have opened their lives mocking South Africa. But if you were to go to what Trump is saying, Trump is bullying everyone, especially most African countries. And this is just to show that people can be aware and awake. And generally, unfortunately, is actually Trump will be, if it's not been kuzaring, if they don't kuza him, if they don't actually reprimand him, if they don't sit with him down and speak to him. I'm talking about the American, in the offices there, the proximity, or in their parliament, is going to be actually destroy dollar, rapidly, in a fast rate. It's more like, accelerators. For those that actually understand, accelerators is actually accelerating. It's more like fueling what to hey, English. Sometimes Sunday, sometimes we understand, but it's actually de-dollarizing the dollar very fast because I mean he's destroying everyone, and now which is bullying everyone. I mean to say, and now this will make people alternatively, just like we have seen in Russia. Russia right now is using their currency to trade, and we have seen even, the likes of, Chinese as well, and also, the alternatively people now, or some countries, we are told that they are now starting to use even the cryptocurrency to trade, so that will make somehow a dollar not to be more important anymore. And I think if you bully everyone everywhere, with how Donald Trump is doing, he's going to be isolated, and then at some point we have realized that generally we have got the likes, the powerhouses of the world, countries such as Saudi Arabia, which is having so much oil, which is having so much influence also in that region of the Middle East, is actually one of those countries that actually want to join BRICS, and obviously if you join BRICS, it means you become an ally with South Africa and any other countries that are allied. So many countries recently, and especially even if you go in the South Africa, in the region of Africa, South Africa is there influencing, and many countries as well, within Africa also want to join BRICS. The likes of Botswana, I think I heard the likes of Nigeria, Zimbabwe, and the likes, and I think even Ethiopia and some other countries, they actually want to join BRICS. So that makes them to be allied with the BRICS in general. And also, if you look at even in the South America, Brazil being there, it's also having an influence in terms of the people, the countries such as Argentina, Paraguay, that actually majority of them want to join BRICS. So it is having an influence in that region. So when you look at BRICS in terms of the corners and everywhere where they are, they are actually an influence in the regions, the likes of India, China as well, in Asia generally, they also, the subcontinent and all those areas of China, of, the likes of of all those countries, generally. So, they are likely to end up joining BRICS. And then if you see all these countries joining BRICS, maybe with the exception of the likes of Europe and the likes of Australia, New Zealand, when BRICS start to do well, because we have seen they have already started with even though right now still a visual currency, so but it might likely in future to become one of the biggest trading currency in the whole world. And that will also mean that the likes of Europe as well being bullied by America, and the NATO countries like this, such chances are as well in because they are actually, the economy is actually also suffering in Europe generally. So and with all this dispute, mainly also of Ukraine, chances are they might also reconsider, because we have heard even so many countries also of Ukraine. Okay, in conclusion, we have had. Sorry.
Miss Cool Lady, can you mute my sister while essay on point is concluding?
Yeah. In conclusion, when you're looking at Europe in general, Europe is actually suffering generally now, in terms of the development. One also mentioned that, Europe right currently now is also going into the green, what you call this cars, electric cars and all that, they are actually starting to dominate there, and then now China is also becoming one of the big players around the region, and which affects a lot of companies such as, the big brands in Germany, the likes of the VW, the likes of Mercedes-Benz, because they are a little bit expensive as compared to the Chinese cars. So that alone, including Tesla, by the way, is actually there, but, Chinese is actually becomes more affordable, and a lot of people now tend to, including here even in South Africa, a lot of people now to choose to opt for the Chinese cars being, so that means China as well becomes a very important role, and most of these companies actually in Europe as well, Europe China has infiltrated Europe. So most of their trading partners is actually Chinese, and they actually rely on China as well more than the other way around, and America. So and then they are being bullied. So chances, in even Canada, chances are they'll end up being isolated. I'm talking about America. Yeah, and that will also give them challenges in their own country. Thanks.
And his administration, which, by the way, I think is becoming a leader with a very strategic approach so far. I can't keep on beating the guy even when I think he's making bold moves, very, very strategically. So, but things can go wrong as well anytime. America is still a great power. We don't need to underestimate that. We know what they're capable of. But with that being said, this thing can go one way, two ways, where America continues to sabotage us and really we feel the pain and they sabotage our economy. Or it can go in another way where Ramaphosa and his administration, they hold on their position. The great soft power of South Africa, our economical influence and our friends, we then rise up to the occasion of being in a position where now we can actually push America to the corner where they have no choice but to negotiate with us. That will depend on the actual power we have, the influence we have. But this thing is not one-sided. It can turn around to be a victory for South Africa, actually. But what I like is that these things are happening now, and we are debating, we are looking at the way forward, and we are clear about our position. It's not a one-way thing. America is no longer the sole power, as AC on point said, but I think America is biting more than they can chew, because they're not pulling this stance only on South Africa. So they're going against the odds, and I think they're trying to contain the power they lost already, and I think it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all, but it poses a great danger then. especially a dying empire like that, which is a great power globally, and then having a Hollywood president who's delusional, who thinks he's shooting a script. I mean, this is very, very dangerous than we think. I don't want us to underestimate the danger of this. We have got a great power that cannot accept the fact that they're losing power. And on top of that, it's not like they've got a great leader who thinks. They have got one of the stupidest leader you can think of, who comes from the streets of being in TV shows and stuff like that. This is very, very, very dangerous. But yeah, it can go both ways. We can end up being in a position of leverage and negotiate better, because I think South Africa, for the past 20 years, we have done great in terms of positioning ourselves globally. I'm not saying we've got the great power yet, but I'm saying we have done the work. There's many countries that are trusting South Africa. There's many countries that don't trust America, by the way. Many countries just need America because of the old systems that were built there that are still trading, because those traditional systems are still operating. But every country has got some historical event with USA where things did not go well. America has been bullying and sabotaging many countries. So we just need to understand that America has got fewer friends, whereas South Africa globally, our influence might be limited, but we are actually very, very respected, and we have been defending many countries in terms of our human rights and the moral stance. So we are not alone in this thing. America has made enough enemies to annihilate itself out of existence. We must keep that in mind. And I'll pause it there, host.
Yeah. Thank you so much, my boss.